So here's the composition that I've gotten right here. I'm really happy with this one. I think that this is an excellent lens. Well, hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Emmett and professionally I'm a software developer, but my spare time I love making landscape photography and related videos here on YouTube, which is exactly what I'm doing this evening. I'm out here in the woods to take some pictures and share that whole process with you guys and the results. Seems like a really nice evening today. It's just kind of getting to golden hour now, and so I've got a little while before the sun sets here, and what I'm hoping to do is go up here to a group of some pine trees that I found a while back, and I think that they probably used to be like a property marker or something like that before this became a park probably, and so now there's these big, very straight rows of pines there, which looks pretty cool. Just really organized, you know, in a way that trees aren't usually, because they obviously grow up super randomly. And so I'm hoping to get over there, take some pictures of that in the golden evening light that we're having right now. Hopefully get the light kind of streaming through the trees a little bit. One of the reasons that I chose that for today's photo shoot is because it's very early in spring right now, really sort of just the very first stages of spring. Obviously got my coat on today, it's still kind of cold. Trying out my new photography gloves as well. And so much of the world is not green yet, but the pine trees of course are green all winter. And so that just seemed like a nice thing to have a little bit of color in my photos, because the trees I think just still look a little boring. Alright guys, well this right here behind me is kind of what I am thinking of for my photograph. Actually probably pretty much what you can see behind me on the camera right now is what I'm thinking to use. The light, as you can see, is coming right down through the trees really nicely, so it kind of comes right down toward the camera, which I like, backlights the trees, makes them very contrasty. I like a really high contrast picture when I can get it, because Well, I don't really know why. It just pleases me. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking to try. So I'm just going to grab my camera gear and do that. This is actually another trail right here that cuts through the trees. So there's less brush right here, which is kind of why I picked this particular spot in the row of trees. There's not too many people around. I don't think anybody else will really be getting in the way of my photos or anything. And so I think that'll make it a nice spot to really get an easy photo that looks nice and clear and clean. A little behind the scenes is I'm just setting up all of my gear right now, and so I've got my big tripod that the camera will go on, and then I've got this really small light tripod that the phone goes on to record me while I'm shooting photos. Got my bag and stuff here, and basically I'm just kind of working off of this section of trail right here. You can see this brush along the edge is just in the way of getting that nice shot through the trees, and of course it breaks up right here, and so that just makes this a really good spot to work from. Haven't really seen anybody else out here, so I don't think I'm going to be in anyone's way, but you know, I'm kind of trying to keep my gear off of the path here as well, so that if someone does come along, they're not tripping on it or something. So I'll just set the camera up here and get some photos. And just because the light is really perfect, I'm not sure how much I'm really going to be able to talk about this, because I want to make sure that I get these photos while the light is really good. However, there probably won't be anything too remarkable. If there is, I can let you know after the fact. And because it's nearing sunset, I'm going to use the auto ISO that preserves the warm colors. Obviously, I have lots of control over that in my raw file editing after the fact, but that'll set kind of how the JPEG looks, which sets the tone for me, really, as I get into the editing as well as while I'm shooting, because that's what I'm looking at here. So here's the composition that I've gotten right here. I'm really happy with this one. And you can see kind of at the bottom here, the path leads up this way. These branches that are laying right here in the foreground lead up that way, and the sun streams through the trees. And so what I've done over the past several minutes is get lots of different exposures of that, and really make sure that I have a really good exposure of it. And that was kind of my main priority, more than trying any other compositions, was to make sure that I got this one really well, because I really want to make sure when I'm, happy with a composition, even if there might be a better one, but if I'm happy with this one, that I get really good photos of this one to make sure that I walk out of the photo shoot with something. And so that's what I've done here, and I'm really actually very happy with this one. So now that I've gotten that composition that I'm really happy with, what I'm going to do is explore around a little bit more with the last bit of the light, see if there's any other compositions that I like before I go, while there's still this nice light here for a few minutes. Now there's really two tools that you can pull out when you're getting into more difficult lighting like this as it's getting darker. The first of those is using your camera's timer. You probably think of the timer as something that you can use to, run and get in the shot and take a picture of yourself or something, but it's really useful for making sure that your shot is steady by the time it gets taken as well. So on the Z6ii, you can access the 2-second timer by just hitting the burst button in the bottom corner and then going over and selecting the timer and 2 seconds. There's other time delay options there. For this, you really only need a couple of seconds, but other times you might want other amounts. And so I've turned on the 2-second timer on the camera, and so that way I'll push the shutter and then take my hands off for a couple of seconds, and then the photo will be taken so that none of my wiggling gets into the shot because I am using a little bit longer in exposure. The other thing that you can use at this point is to look at the histogram on the playback, and what that's going to do is show you how bright or dark your photo is in a graph representation, which is really useful because as the world starts to get darker around you, your camera screen starts to look a lot brighter than you're used to it looking, and so you'll think that you've gotten a brighter exposure, and you'll look on the histogram and realize that it's actually really dark, and that'll save you from getting back and looking at it on the computer and realizing there that it's actually really dark. See the histogram, go to the playback and use the up and down arrows until you get to the option with the histograms on it. Everything toward this end is going to be your pixels that are darker, and over here are your pixels that are brighter. Alright guys, well it is just a few minutes before sunset now. It's probably about 20 minutes left before the sun really technically set, but that means that it's really getting down behind the trees and things, and so it's virtually sunset at this point because I can't see it shining through the trees anymore. And what that really means is that the best light for this particular photo is over, and it's time for me to pack up all my gear and head out of here before it gets dark. I don't really want to be trying to hike in the dark too much. I do always carry a flashlight when it's going to be later in the day, but not really my goal to be hiking around in the woods in the dark either. So I'm going to pack everything up and get out of here. It was really nice to get out for some photography again this evening. It's been a little bit cold and uninteresting and difficult to get out lately, and so it was really nice to have some good weather again to get out and shoot some pictures, even though it's a little bit cold still, definitely not as cold as it has been, and you can really tell that spring is on its way, and so it felt a little bit weird to be back out doing photography again, but it definitely felt really good as well. So I'm really glad I had this opportunity. The light seemed really nice. I'll have to really work with it a little bit in the edit to get the colors right, just because of all of the lighting that was going on. But that should be kind of a fun thing to do, and I will hopefully next week have a video where I show you some of the editing from these photos and take a look at that as well. So if that interests you, definitely be on the lookout for that next week. So with that, I'm gonna head out of here. If you guys did enjoy this video, definitely hit the like button on your way out and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss more videos that I'm really excited to share with you in the future. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.